Don't let the enemy tell you that praying isn't worth it when things are hard. It's one thing to pray to God to help you get through a hard time, but it's another thing to draw so near to Him in prayer that your heart begins to change even though your circumstances may not have changed. So today I want to share with you how to continue to pray through the valley, even when it's hard and even when it feels like you just want to give up and not go to God anymore. Hey fellas, welcome back to the Steward the Suffering podcast. My name is Jared, and I'd say for the past 7 years or so, I've been following Jesus, but recently past few years, I'd say have been some of the hardest years of my life. Through that, I've developed such a deep dependence and awe on the Lord that I don't believe I would have had or developed had I not gone through the valley season. I'm not perfect by any means, and I still fall short so often, but my goal is to help you steward your suffering, steward your valley season that you're going through, so that you can ultimately suffer well and mature in Christ and be refined in this season as a man of God. In today's episode, I want to give you just 4 simple, practical steps that you can do to continue praying in this season, even when it's hard and when you feel like giving up. And the first one is to literally cry out to God. Often there's this, I feel like I've been able to tune it out, but that whole mentality of like, oh, men don't cry. But if we're modeling our lives after Jesus, and we see in John 11:35 that Jesus wept, who are we to say that men shouldn't cry? And so in this valley season that you're walking through, this is the time to cry out to the Lord. Literally scream in your car, scream in a private place where you know that you can just be your authentic self with the Lord in what you're going through. This is such a crucial place to be in when you can go to God authentically in that weeping mentality and that utter dependence on Him. Don't run from this opportunity. I remember there was moments where I would be in my car and I would get so frustrated with the valley, and I'd ask God, what do you have me here for? Or God, get me out. Please get me out of this situation. And though the circumstances didn't change immediately in that moment, afterwards I felt a closer relationship with the Lord because I know He's present and I know He's listening. I feel like the biggest theme and the recurring theme throughout these past episodes is how much the enemy wants to use this season that you're in as a way to get you to give up on God and to say and to believe, well, if God truly loved me, He wouldn't bring me through this because God only wants good things for me, which is true, but good things sometimes come from really hard seasons and really hard moments. The second point is to continue to pray even in the midst of the pain. Keep an ongoing conversation with the Lord. There were moments throughout my day as I was walking through the valley season that I would pause and say, God, I need you to help me get through this situation right now. I need you to give me the wisdom. I need you to give me the peace and the patience and the comfort and self-control to navigate this and walk through this. Because ultimately on my own strength, I can't do that. There's something about incorporating God into your daily life as you're walking through the valley instead of just only compartmentalizing Him either in the beginning of the day or the end of your day when you do your quiet time. As you go throughout your day and keeping God in the midst of your thoughts and in your conversations brought me a sense of peace that, I didn't think I could genuinely experience and the circumstances that I was in. So what does this look like? It looks like coming to God with what you have. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. And it could simply be, God, thank you for giving me the legs that you've given me today, giving me so that I can walk today. Thank you for giving me the car to get me to and from my job, or thank you for giving me the coffee that I was able to drink today. Little things like that keep the conversation going and ultimately glorify Him. There's such a good quote I heard recently. Oh, I think I'm going to butcher it. I hope not. I think it's a John Piper quote where he says, God is most glorified when we are most satisfied in Him. That is such a powerful quote because when you think about it, the more we can be satisfied in Him, the more it glorifies Him and pleases Him. Even if that satisfaction is just, God, this is hard right now, but I trust you and I'm thankful for the little things. So the question is, what are specific moments in your day as you're walking through this valley that you can bring God into it, that you can and draw Him into the conversation in the midst of the mess, in the midst of the worry and anxiety and fear? Little things that you can that you can reach out to your Heavenly Father, your God, your friend, the one that knows you best and wants what's best for you. Bring him in. This third point is to write out your prayers. Sometimes we don't have words to say, especially as guys. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't have anything to say. Like, why would I speak if I don't have anything to say? But what I've found is that sometimes when I begin to write out my prayers or write out things I'm grateful for, it ends up spilling into a deeper conversation with the Lord through writing that may not have occurred if I was just coming to God in prayer with words. An easy way to lay out your journaling or your journal prompts, if you decide to go that path, is to write out the date at the top of your journal or your page. Then underneath that, write the time and then begin writing. I've loved being able to look back at specific dates from specific months and then the times that I wrote them and say, man, what was I doing at that time? Oh, I was in this place, or oh, I was in this spot. I remember going through that, or that was such a rough moment, and I'm so glad I wrote down how I was authentically feeling. Plus, an additional bonus of writing down your prayers is that as you're navigating your valley, if there are small prayers that the Lord is answering, you can read those and thank him for it. One time as I was navigating my valley season, for a span of like 6 months, I didn't have a car, or I didn't have a working car. And so as that built on top of other things that were going on in this valley, that I was like, man, God, everything's like coming to, I don't know what the right word is. Everything's coming to like a climax or it's almost like a volcano, like right before the eruption. And I was like, God, I need a car. I need to get through this. And then looking back now, where I ended up finding a car, I read my journal, and all throughout it says Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide, God will provide. And in present day, I can go back and say, God, thank you again for providing that car for me in the midst of the valley, in the midst of all the other uncertainty and the mess of the things around me. One of my good friends who we meet together on Friday mornings, we always talk about keeping keeping a running list of the way God's been faithful in our lives. We see in the Old Testament how like they would make pillars, or they make little mini monuments, or they stack stones in order to remember God's faithfulness or to remember that God provided. And in my mind, I'm thinking, why don't we still do that? Or why don't I do that? And so we've gone back and forth about how we so want to keep a running list of how God has answered prayers and been faithful, especially for me as I was navigating that valley season. So write out your prayers and journal what you're thinking and how you're talking with God and listening and hearing from him. This fourth point is to look for the gospel in your day. And here's what I mean. Ultimately, even in the midst of the valley, our calling and our purpose remains the same. It's to love God and love others, to glorify, to know him and to make him known. So as you're going through the valley season, how are you going to serve others? What are small ways that you can serve others, whether that's a compliment or an encouragement to somebody, even though you don't feel it right now? Oftentimes when you can serve somebody else, it helps takes your focus off of yourself and onto them. Takes your focus off of yourself and onto them, and it helps you love them well and be reminded for yourself of the gospel. A powerful thing you can do if you are in an office or if you're in a job and a in-person environment, as you're walking into the building, pray to God, help me to make this sacred work today. Help me to make this work that glorifies you, because I'm doing this for you ultimately. God, use me and give me opportunities to share your love in the workplace today. Let my life be a testimony of the gospel today. When you can pray those things in the valley, it shifts your focus, like I said, off of yourself and the pain of what might be going on right now and onto others, and how you can be a light for others in that day. One of the most rewarding things is when you find opportunities to step into spiritual conversations, whether that's with coworkers or the people around you in your valley season, because you know that that's the most important thing. And you know that even for yourself, this present moment is not the only moment that I'll experience in life. This present moment is not the forever moment. Eternity is eternity. And so this side of heaven isn't always going to be what I'm experiencing. But I know that as I'm stepping into spiritual conversations with others, I'm incorporating eternity into that conversation, and I'm planting seeds for God to hopefully save that person, and for that person to to accept Christ and believe in the gospel. So here's my encouragement for you. I want to remind you that God sees you and knows what you're going through, even when the enemy wants to tell you otherwise. He wants to use this valley that you're going through as a season of growth for you. Ultimately, he wants to help you suffer well, and I want you to suffer well as well. As men, we can use this season as a season of refinement and equipping and strength for the next season. It's not these big mountaintops that refine you, but it's these little everyday mundane moments, even in the midst of this suffering season, that we can be refined into the image of Christ, so that when we get to those mountaintops, when we get through the valley, we've just built up rhythms and character traits that we can stand strong on because of the work that the Lord did in this present season. Let me know if you got value out of today's episode. If you want to go deeper with this podcast and learn more about how you can actually implement not just this spiritual rhythm of prayer, but all of the different rhythms that I believe you should implement in your valley season, then check out the link in the show notes that leads you to my website. I have a program that I've designed and am designing to help you live out those practical rhythms in the midst of the valley. There's also a weekly group call where all of us can hop on a call for sharing highs and lows and how we're doing with these spiritual rhythms, as well as a private Slack group that we can all share prayer requests and encourage each other in, and so forth. With that, thanks for listening to today's episode of the Stewarding the Suffering podcast, and I'll see you next week.